If you've turned on the news in the past few weeks, all you've heard about is this solar eclipse. Krispy Kreme is making a special donut in honor of the eclipse. Sun Chips is going to have a special product. Warby Parker's giving out free glasses for viewing. Everyone's trying to come up with an angle to take advantage of this solar eclipse, except the mayor of Luna Pier, the one city in Michigan in the path of totality, a city whose name Luna is because it's in that path. He says, it's too much work, too much traffic, go to Ohio. The eclipse is a predictable event. There's a sefer that brings down that Christopher Columbus was a Jew, and when he reached the New World, he was attacked by cannibals who never saw this kind of human flesh before. And he was able to save himself because he had a sefer written by a Kabbalist or someone, Shemini-Hachodesh, that predicted the occurrences of eclipses because it can be calculated and predicted. And he was able to say, Columbus was able to say, if you keep attacking me, I'm going to blot out the sun, and that's what happened. And the rest is history. He was saved. The eclipse happened. They worshipped him, and here we are 500 years later. But does the eclipse have any meaning for us? Does the eclipse have any meaning for us, for Klal Yisrael? The Gemara in Sukkot Daf Chavtes describes different opinions about the significance of Kishahacham Aloika, when the sun is afflicted, when it is blocked out. And some say that doesn't mean an eclipse, because an eclipse the sun's actually fine, you just can't see it. Some say that means sunspots, but a Pashtus, we understand that it is an eclipse. And there are different opinions. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it mean nothing? There's a pasuk that says that the Jews don't have to worry about these signs, they only mean something for other people. But the first opinion in the Gemara is that it is a good sign for Jews because Klal Yisrael Moinin Lalavana, when the moon blocks out the sun, the moon is what we count our calendar by. We count our calendar based on the occurrence of the new moon. That is what declares a new month. That's why we had a leap year this year, because our lunar year is out of whack with the seasons that are determined by the sun, so we have to add a month. And the Umas Ha'olam, they are count to the Chama, and so when the moon blocks out the sun, that's a good sign of Klal Yisrael being victorious over its enemies. And this year, there's more alignment, because it's on Rosh Chodesh, which an eclipse always has to be around the Rosh Chodesh. But it's not just any Rosh Chodesh. Where does it come from that Klal Yisrael Moinin Lalavana, that the Jewish people count by the moon? That comes from HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem, what we just read in the parsha. Nisan is the inauguration of this attachment between the Bnei Yisrael and the moon. And that is what happened. It's happening now. Monday is the eclipse. Monday night is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And it's aligned on Parsha Shemini, which is also not a typical alignment. Parsha Shemini, Vayi Bayom HaShemini, wasn't the 8th day. What day of the year was the 8th day, Lemiluim? Says Rashi, Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So it is historically and in the calendar all aligned to be a special, significant day for Klal Yisrael, the day that Hashem rested the Shekhinah in the Mishkan, the day that HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. And it's a year when all of that's happening, the moon is blocking out the sun. It should be the beginning of a geula, benisan asidun ligoel, that we should all see a victory over our enemies, and a geula shleima b'meher v'yameinu amen. But by Yom HaShemini, this all happens by Yom HaShemini on the 8th day. The 8th day being significant, it's Lamaila Miderech HaTeva. There's 7 days of creation. 8 is above and beyond. When Hashem rests His presence in this world, connecting Himself, connecting the Creator of the universe, connected to us, that means we are beyond the universe. We have this transcendent quality. It's how the Jewish people are still around. Arthur Toynbee, the British historian, he looked at the 50 old societies and said, and he determined what are the common factors that are needed for their survival. common land, common country, a common language, an army, all these things that determined if they survived or became extinct. And he said it followed for 49 out of the 50. The Jews didn't make sense. They didn't have any of these qualities, and they still survived. They were a fossilized people, which was meant pejoratively. But in a sense, it's accurate that by the laws of nature, the Jewish people should not survive. We transcend the laws of nature. Yaakov Emden said the biggest miracle, if you want to see Hashem's miracles, is that the Jewish people are still here, 0.5% of the population in the world, and the target of so many focused efforts by the most powerful empires at their time, targeting the Jews for extinction, and still we're here, not just here, but thriving, batting above our weight. Kanai Nahara. That is a Yom HaShmini. That is an 8th day existence. That we transcend the normal. The normal, by the normal rules, we should be a fossil, but we're not subject to the universe's normal rules. We have this special dveikus connection to Hashem. How do we achieve that? Vahi b'Yom HaShmini, the pasuk says, Zeh hadavar asher tziva Hashem v'yeira aleichem kavod Hashem. This is the thing that Hashem commanded, and then the honor of Hashem will appear to you. For you to be connected to Hashem, you do what Hashem commands. Because that simple thing, tziva, mitzvah, means tzavta, connected. You're connected to Hashem. Then when I do an act, it's not my physical act, it is a divine act. Because I'm doing this because Hashem told me to. And I'm not doing that because Hashem told me not to. So it's transformed, what we're doing, from physical acts to something that is divine, that is connected to Hashem. And that's where the chiyus, that's where the life of the Shemini that transcends the physical boundaries, that's where it comes from. And that's why this parasha is the parasha of the ma'achalos asuros, of what to eat and what not to eat, because all of that is about taking into the most physical thing that we do, eating, and transforming that. Well, I'm going to eat this because Hashem said yes, and I'm not going to eat that because Hashem said not to. And all of a sudden it's transformed. But the pasuk, the Sfas Emes points out, the pasuk introduces the discussion of what to eat and what not to eat with unusual extra language. It says, "Vayidar Hashem el Moshe vel Aaron." Hashem said to Moshe and Aaron, "Lamor aleihem," to say to them. What does it mean to say to them? The next pasuk says, "Dabra b'nei Yisrael," speak to the b'nei Yisrael. So it could have just said, "And Hashem spoke to Moshe and Aaron, speak to the b'nei Yisrael." What's to say to them? Says the Sfas Emes, the point is to say to them, meaning that the whole purpose of this parsha here is that the reason is that people should, in their minds, the reason why they're eating this and not eating that is lamor aleim, is because I said it to them. That's the point. No one in their right mind eats bugs. I mean, you have these Meshuggah survivalist people who try to push themselves. Bear Grylls, he likes to eat bugs. No one else likes to eat bugs. So why do you have to have a special mitzvah in the Torah, don't eat bugs? Because then it's not your act. It's not an independent act. It's a divine act. And that's how you are dveikus b'Hashem. That's how you're connected to Hashem. That's how you're going to be this transcendent people that transcends the limitations of the universe. Zois hachaya asher toichlu. If you want to be, Rashi says, devukim b'chayim, then you have these mitzvos that in your most base interactions with physicality, it's transformed into something spiritual, into something that is eternal, and it's connected to Hashem. I'm doing this because the creator of the universe told me to, or told me not to. And this, says the Sfas Emes, explains what went wrong with Nadav and Avihu. What did they do wrong that on the 8th day, this transcendent day, they died? The 8th day was a special day. Like we said, the Rabbeinu Bechaya points out that there are 12 fires throughout Tanakh that came from heaven, 6 good, 6 bad. The first 2 are Yom HaShmini. Where one fire comes down and consumes the carbon that Aaron brought, and then another fire comes down and consumes his children, when the carbon that they brought. What happened? And the Gemara has 2 opinions. One opinion says, "Shtuye yayin nichnesu l'mikdash," they were drunk with wine when they went into the Beis Hamikdash. And the other opinion says, "Hayra halacha b'fnei rabban," they issued a ruling, a halachic psak, before their Rebbe. Zok des Sfas Emes, all the pshatim are the same, telling me the same thing. And all goes back to the words of the pasuk. The words of the pasuk are that they brought a fire, asher lo tziva osam. They did something on their own. They weren't commanded to. That was the problem. Shtuya yain means they were drunk with wine, the wine of Torah, the taimim, the reasons, the svaras, the thoughts, the analysis. They were exactly right. They made a good cheshbon. If Aaron brought a carbon, we should bring a carbon, and they were exactly right. Hayru halacha b'fnei Rabban, they paskin before their Rebbe. Not that they got to the wrong outcome, they got to the right outcome, but it wasn't from him, it wasn't commanded, it wasn't from Torah's Moshe. It was something they made up on their own. And in that realm of 8, of the Mishkan, which is in a transcendent existence of heaven on earth, everything has to be divine, everything has to be Asher Tziva. If it's Asher Lo Tziva, it's fatal. That was what happened with Nadav Avihu, and that's what happened, and that's why there's Machalas Asuras. I can give you reasons. You want to know why split hooves and why chewing its cutter. But Sfas Emes is all the deep reasons. The split hooves, the chitzonius, the animal, the exterior of it, the chitzonius, the foot, is split, allowing the light to shine in, the light of Ruchnius to shine in. Male Gera, there's a movement from upwardly within the heart of the animal, within the core of the animal, symbolizing a spiritual aliyah. But I don't need the reasons. The point of it is that Hashem told me to. And that's what connects me, Devekim B'Hashem Chaim. And so as we head to Pesach, to Rosh Chodesh, a time of renewal, let's be conscious before we do something. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because Hashem commanded me. This is as simple as that. That's why we make brachas before we do mitzvahs. Asher Kiddushan Mitzvah Tzivana, before we eat. We're connecting it back to Hashem. I'm not just doing this because I want to. If it's something because I want to do, then I decided I want to do this, I decided I want to do that. It's disconnected from the source. You're losing that transcendent connection to the creation to the creator of the universe. You're just doing something on your own. And that's real chayrus. That's real freedom. Freedom is to be free from the surly bonds of earth. We have to be connected to Hashem. And this is how we're connected to Hashem. This is how all the normal rules of atrophy and fossilization would have said that we shouldn't be here anymore. To be really free is to be connected to Hashem, and this is how to do it. To be conscious of what we're doing. I'm doing this because Hashem said. I'm not doing this because Hashem said. And all of a sudden, we've transformed our lives to be from just mundane physical lives to divine, uplifted, enlightened lives, and that will, Mirz Hashem, with this coming Nisan, that will bring us to the next level, the level of Geula, where the Mishkan is something that is permanent, where the Or Halavana, or Hachama, with the coming of Mashiach, Amen.